What it do, guys? It's D'Anthony here, man, aka Hoodscout, back again for another edition of the Hoodscout podcast. And this is really a unique podcast, a podcast like no other. We're going to have athletes, we're going to have coaches, we're going to have intellectuals, we're going to have media members of all sorts. And don't forget, guys, to like this podcast, share this podcast, and help grow this podcast. This is not just my podcast. This is also your podcast. And the only reason it's going to grow is because you guys are going to be invested in it, guys. Sit back, get your beverage of choice ready, get your popcorn ready, get your dinner ready, get your steak ready, get your vegan meal ready. Tune in, guys. Hoodscout. Peace. Hey, what it do, guys? Back again for another podcast introduction. This one, man, it was really great. I had to get this legend on. She's a legendary track and field coach in the greater DFW area, the area that we consider to be Lancaster, Texas. I mean, just won a slew of state championships, a slew of district championships. I mean, we're talking dynasty type numbers. In fact, she had the high school football stadium complex is named after her. So shout out to Lancaster High School. Shout out to Coach Paul, the football coach out there. But this is an interview with Coach Humphreys. She's like I said, a legendary track coach, the winningest track coach. Let me phrase it right. The winningest coach in UIL history, if I'm not mistaken. Really lock into this one. Really not a long interview, but one I had great pleasure of talking to a legend. And if you're a coach or you're a track runner or anything like that, you would definitely glean a little bit from this one. So continue to like you guys, subscribe, comment. I love all that good stuff, man. We're continue to build this thing organic, and organic it is, man. Signing out. To have a blessed day. Peace. Hey, welcome back to another edition of the Hoodscout podcast. In this episode, I'm not in video. What my guest is, which I'm really sorry for because I want to be on as well, but I have some technical difficulties on this side. But I got a really a legend, arguably probably one of the greatest coaches that I've had the privilege of talking to on this podcast. And I've talked to maybe 20 or 30 coaches, including college coaches. Coach, without further ado, tell the people who you are and where you're from.
My name is Beverly D Humphrey, and I am from Dallas, Texas, and a proud graduate of Dallas Lincoln.
Now, Coach, like I was saying just a second ago, I mean, you're legendary. I mean, I remember hearing about those Lancaster teams when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, maybe 13, 14 years old. Where did this thing first start? Like, where were you from? And talk to me about that introduction into athletics in general.
Well, it started at Lincoln High School. Fred Allen was my coach and Luther Gentry. But Coach Allen walked up to me one day in January, and he said, "Girl, you look like you can run." And he said, "I want you to be on the track tomorrow at 4:30. And I said, "Yes, sir." And I went out on the track and we practiced. And lo and behold, I'm the fastest thing in Dallas, in the state as well. I posted the fastest time. And from there, Coach Tankersley called Barbara Jackett, and who was at Prairie View, who had the number one team in the nation at that time. And of course, she talked to my mom, and I had family members that had gone to Prairie View and graduated. And I had other offers as well, but my mother said, "You're going to PV." And so on to PV, All-American, Olympic trial finalist, and all of that. And from there, just went to Texas A&M Commerce to work on a doctorate degree, and met my husband, Chuck, and the rest is history. He asked someone if they knew if there were any job openings. And so the person told him Greenville. And so I went over and applied because we were planning a wedding at that time. And the personnel director said, "Well, do you want to coach?" And I said, "If it pays more money." And he said, "Yes." And so I went out there, my first basketball game, I got beat 92-6. And then they named me the head track coach, and so then I went on, and once I got in that arena, and it felt like home. The dream of being a black college president, historical black college president, was out the window. It only took 2 weeks for me to know that coaching is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Oh man, that's a lot. We got to unpack that, coach. That is a lot. It's kind of funny. I just received in today, literally how time it is, something from the peer review. See, I'm 30. I just turned 30. I didn't realize that before the UIL was the peer review in the Scholastic League, and the president of the league just sent me something. So it's funny you mentioned peer review. So, coach, when you first got in this thing, even as an athlete, did you think that you had a future in it, or was it more kind of just something to do?
No, any task or anything like that, I'm serious about it. I'm kind of serious. Some people think I'm too serious, but even back in high school, I just knew I wanted to win. I was taught to be a winner in life, and my mother groomed me from the time I was 2 or 3 years old to want to be the best, to be want to be number one. And so in high school, when I was running those times and all of that, um, all you thought about was being a champion. And so that's what I thought about. And I love running. I didn't know that I would because I had been a cheerleader, but I love running. I like the discipline of it. The coaches at Lincoln, they were great. They inspired me to run faster, be better. We talked about teams a lot, and I've always been the one that prayed on the team and tried to hold the team together, and that's always been my role. So um, I'm living my dream.
So, um, what what events did you run? I mean, you said you was fast, and I mean that stood out to me. What events did you run back in your day?
I ran the 100 when I was in high school. I
In
ran the
100 meter.
4x1, the 4x4, and the 100. And
Look,
I I ran a 10-8, the 100-yard dash, not the 100 meters, the 100-yard dash. And so on to college as a sprinter. And of course, if you ran for Barber Jacket, you were going to run the quarter. And so I qualified for the trials in the 1, the 2, and the 4. I elected to run the 200 because we had set an American record in the 4x4. And most of my teammates were running a quarter. And I took the easy way out to run the 200. I had just won the USTFF national championship in the 200. And so I elected to have a workout that wasn't as tough was the real reason. And then I ended up paying for that because one of my teammates that had never beat me made the Olympic Games. So that's my story on that. So the
oh
one,
wow,
four.
that's interesting. My bad, coach. That was interesting what you just said. Wow,
Okay.
I'm listening, coach.
Well, basically, that mistake in my life is the thing that has driven me to be the best. I didn't know anything but winning. We wanted Lincoln. We wanted Prairie View. When I started coaching, we were winning, and so that's the ultimate goal for me. Now, my mom told me that losing is a part of winning, and I accept that too. You're just not going to win them all, but the ones you're supposed to win, that is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to develop your team in a way that they have a chance to win at all levels. Like right now, we're in championship season, district, area, regional, and state. So we take one at a time. But the goal is to try to win the state championship. And if we don't, to place in the top three or be the best we can be that year.
Yeah, coach. Let me ask you this: when you first got started into the coaching ranks, Were there any roadblocks when you first got started, and if they were? Because people see you today, and I really don't think you get the credit you deserve because of the longevity that you have along with winning. But we will lead up to that. But when you first got started in this thing, did you have any roadblocks at the beginning? And if so, what were they?
Yes, I did. Being the first Black coach hired at Greenville High School, um, back then it was very different. Um, I had some issues and some problems with the color of my skin. The fact that the Black kids catered more to me because I understood them, and the white kids loved me too. But just that whole thing of being the first and being Black, um, I had some trials. I had some things to overcome, things that were not fair in the program, things that were overlooked that kids did, or that you know I did as a coach, were overlooked, and it hurt. And when I came to Lancaster, I was the first Black head coach in Lancaster high school history, and the first Black head of department in Lancaster high school history. And I had some bang bang up, things that I had to go through as well. And a lot of it had to do with the color of my skin. And
Wow.
you stick to it, and you do the best you can, and um, you move on, and you focus. That's one of the great things. One of the things that I love about myself is that I can stay focused in the midst of a tsunami. If I'm coaching,
Mm.
that's what I'm doing. I'm coaching track. And then there are some out there that they don't even know me, have never had a conversation with me, but someone said this or that. And you just know how that goes. But here again, I'm going to stay focused, and I'm going to keep my kids focused. And I am proud of the fact that we've been to state in the mile relay 24, 25 times. Um, in 19, we missed going to state in the mile relay. I think it was a 20-year stretch. And we've probably been to state in the mile relay more than that. But just a good program is a program that can stay consistent. You don't have to win every state championship, but everybody needs to know you're there. And that's how I feel.
My. We're about. I'm not sure how many. We're probably about 8 or 9 minutes in. I can't see my timer, but talking with the head track coach at Lancaster, a legendary coach. I mean that in every sense of the word. So I'm gonna try to pick her brain, and I don't know how much time you got, coach, but I'm enjoying it up until now. So, coach, when you first started into the coaching ranks, how old were you, and then where were those first schools? Because here I am thinking that your first school was Lancaster, but who was that first, or what were those jobs before Lancaster, and what year are we talking about?
I was in Greenville. And
Greenville, okay.
yes. And excuse me, I was 24 years old. And I started at the middle school and worked my way up to the high school. Because at one point in life, I was a great volleyball coach.
Oh
My record
wow!
was 556 wins and 176 losses.
Come on, coach. You a
Yeah,
legend. I'm sorry, girl. And I'm gonna tell you why this gets me so excited, coach. Because as I've interviewed, a basketball coach may have won 3 or 4 championships. A football coach may have won one, two. What I've noticed, winners, they never just start winning. It's like they were always winners, coach.
well, I just go back to, my upbringing and what my mother taught me. I'm an only child, and my parents are only children. And so I was raised in an atmosphere where a lot of playing around and silliness uh, really wasn't tolerated. And so I've just pretty much been serious and have always wanted to be at the top of my game, no matter what I was doing. So I just feel like this was instilled in me, and I carried it through. And being a part of Barbara Jackie's program at Prairie View and the way she ran her team, I learned a lot from that lady. And the discipline that she had, we were college women, but we were disciplined. And I bring all that to the table with my team here in Lancaster.
So, Coach, was Lancaster or Lancaster, as I said, was that your second coaching job?
Yes, and I probably missed a piece of the question, but in Greenville at middle school, and then was moved up to the high school, and then Lancaster recruited me uh, to come here to Lancaster. The AD at the time, he asked the AD at Texas A&M Commerce if she knew of a good volleyball coach, and she said the best coach is over there at Greenville High School. So he called me and we talked, and I turned the job down. And he called me back and asked me if I would just come and sit. And I did that. And it was going to be paying more money. And I was going to be a department head. So that's why I made the move. Have never wanted to school hop. I wanted to be in a one high school town, which I love. And I wanted to stay put. My parents from Dallas, and so I was not going to go too far away from them. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to
Mm-hmm. Coach, let me ask you this. Now, when you got to Lancaster, and I'm guessing here because I said I'm a lot younger, so I'm assuming that's the late '90s. Um, did were the demographics of Lancaster like it is now? Was it a little bit different back then?
it. It was very different. Lancaster at the high school, we had five black teachers, well, four black teachers and one black assistant principal. And I would have maybe one or two blacks throughout the day in my class. So it's like it's flipped completely because it was a predominantly uh, white school when I came to Lancaster.
I didn't even realize that. I did not realize that. I was talking to another coach, and he mentioned that about Cedar Hill, and he actually said that he thought that Lancaster was the first one. He said it changed overnight, and you kind of sharing those same sentiments. That's very interesting to me. So,
Yes.
Coach, when you finally got to Lancaster, you finally got that thing rolling. You won your first state championship, and that. What was going through your mind, Coach? Like when you first started, what was your ways of getting better as a women's track coach back then?
Well, I brought with me a lot of lessons from Barbara Jackie. So when
Okay.
I started out, she was my mentor. And so I started doing the things that she had taught us in college to do. I knew how to do workout schedules and all that. I'd been a sprinter and a quarter miler and the organization of it all. So coming into Lancaster, I brought all of that with me from Greenville because people don't know, but I won two district championships in Greenville in track and field, the first girls team to win a district championship in Greenville. And also, I won a district championship in volleyball. And Greenville was a 4A school that competed on a 5A level back then. And so I just brought all of those tools and instinct, just I would say some God given talent to coach track.
Yeah.
And I brought that with me and I started my programs and success came knocking at the door. It didn't take long.
Coach, I can imagine that those girls gravitate toward you. I don't know how you were back then versus now, but I could imagine they gravitate towards you. Speak to the type of coach you are, and as far as you are with those children, because I'm sure they look up to you now, of course, because I mean you're legendary. But even back then, was it a way that you carried yourself where those kids kind of identified with you, to where that allowed you to help build your program?
Yes, they did gravitate to me. And I feel like when you're coaching, you have to have a hook. And that's the way I came out of it. And what that means is I started letting my kids dress alike. On my volleyball program, we dressed alike every Tuesday and Friday. The parents would go and we would pick out unit outfits way back then. And we would wear those unit outfits because the number one thing in Lancaster at that time was drill team. She was over 100 strong. So then we started doing the shoes alike, and that fed on over into track. And so now we're known for that. But other than that, I'm someone that's relatable. I'm not the coach that thinks she's 16 and trying to be your best friend. I'm your friend, but I am your coach. I'm your adult friend. And so, yes, we've shared a lot through the years. There's a certain way I want them to act. A lot of people say, well, they bougie. They're not bougie. You're just not going to be cutting up, loud, boisterous. You're just not going to do that with me. On a bus, you're not all that loud talking. You're just not going to do it. And that's how I run my program. And when my kids come to me and they have problems, they talk to me about it, and they know it's not going to go anywhere unless it's some harm in it. And I will call mama. But I'm a hugger. I hug on them all the time. I explain to them. They don't get out there and run. I get on the board. I explain everything to them. Why you're doing this, why you're doing that. This is the way you run the quarter. All of those type of things. And I talk to them about being champions. The first day that I come in there, because they're in cross country, we're talking about the team goals and what we're going to do. I'm stressing, be a young lady. This is how you carry yourself. I'm all of that. If you're crying and you're hurt over your boyfriend or something, I understand that because I went through that in high school. And my drill team coach, because I was in drill team and I was a cheerleader at Lincoln, but she just kind of made me an outcast because I cried because I broke up with my boyfriend. Well, I understand all that, so I can relate to that. And I don't just talk to them about track. I know something about each one of my girls, what you're doing in your life, or something about church or your family, or y'all are traveling here and there. And I'm strict. And my workouts are hard, and that's how we do it over here.
I love it, man. I really, man, I love this, coach. I love this stuff because I love wisdom, and it's just, I mean, you built something where people should listen when you talk. Let me ask you this, coach. When you heard the word culture, as you was talking, I kept thinking culture, culture, culture. When you heard the word culture, which is a kind of a big topic word in the coaching or just athletics community, period, no matter the sport, what does culture mean to you, coach, and how does one develop that?
Well, culture means that you have to, of course, you have to develop the culture that you want your team to be surrounded with, or your school, or whatever it is. So for me, it's done by discipline. I feel that discipline sets the culture for what you're going to do. The kids are going to have fun. They're going to dress nice. They're going to say, yes, ma'am. They're going to do this. They're going to love on each other. The coaches are going to love on them. They know that they are from Lancaster and there's a target on their back. You have to be able to handle that. You don't get on social media. I'm not saying none of mine do, but you don't have to talk. You let your feet do the talking. You have pride in the uniform that you put on, because in the locker room, it says you're standing in the midst of greatness. So you had all these people to come before you. They have really set the culture, and you just have to come in and intertwine with that. So for me, the culture of my program is doing the right thing all day, every day. And if you're not doing that, you're trying. And if you need help with that, then you're going to go talk to Coach Humphrey. And you
Let
had
me ask
another
you.
part of that, but
Go ahead, coach. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it was another part of that question you asked me, and I just got to that part. It's just how you act, how you present yourself, and all of the kids have to do it. The freshmen, the JV, the varsity. And I'm not saying that it goes to according to plan each and every time, but when it doesn't go according to plan, there's going to be some consequences for your actions.
Well, good stuff. Good stuff. Coach Humphrey, head coach at Lancaster track coach. Coach, let me ask you this, and I think this kind of goes along with what we just said, but this is really the $1 million question. How does one sustain greatness? And that's a two-parter. What is greatness to you? But how does one sustain it, coach? Because like I said, when we first started this thing, I remember 'cause I went to a private school in Lancaster. I remember hearing about y'all winning when I was in what seventh or eighth grade, and I'm now 30. So that had to be over 15 years ago. How do you sustain this thing, coach? Because that's really admirable.
Okay, for me, the first thing is you have to be able to coach what you get. You have to be able to look at a kid and know that by this certain time, the junior year, this is going to be a stud, or this is going to be someone who can help us. You have to coach all of the kids. The kids that may come in, they might run a 65 quarter. You set goals with them. And in my experience, that same kid will give you a 55 if you work with them. So, and that's one of the greatest things for me is the fact that all of my years in Lancaster, we've won. We've won 32, 33 district championships, 17 regional championships, 8 area championships, 13 state titles, and 34 titles in relays, state championships in relays. And it's all about coming out following the plan that I set for them every day. We have an indoor, so there's no days we're going to take off. We have a weight program. All of those things is what develops winners. Now, every now and then, you're going to have a kid that's a stud that comes in your program. I'm loving that every time. But they have to have somebody to run with. It's like last year, a lot of people said when we started off, they said that we weren't that good, we weren't that talented. We're going to get them this year, we're going to do that and that. Well, with my coaching philosophy, I'm not trying to beat you at every single track meet. I used to do that. I've grown from that. I'm trying to win championships. So my kids might be in this might not look good, that might not look right, but when it all comes together, then the product that I put out on the track is going to be worth watching. So that's how I feel. I think the consistency of a program, because we always like to say over here, the program, that is
Hmm.
what produces winners. And so when you have this stuff set in stone, a girl that graduated 10, 15 years ago, they can come back. Some of the same stuff is in place. And then you put discipline on top of that. When I say something to my kids, I mean what I say. And I think that I see a lot of programs that, um, to me, kids are out of control. And
Mm.
I'm not going to say that not one Lancaster girl has never been out of control, because that wouldn't be right and it wouldn't be true. But my job is to reel you back in and make you understand the big picture. This is how we do. You don't get to coach the team. The coaches coach the team. You don't tell me what you want to run. We have a goal sheet. We sit down and we talk about it. And then I'm going to find the event that's best for you. And I'm going to talk to you about it. And that's how I do it. That's how this championship program has been laid out. Being consistent, meaning what you and say what you mean.
Mm. My goodness, we were talking with the legendary track coach at Lancaster High School. I'm not even sure how long we've been talking about, probably about 15 minutes so far, give or take. I'm really enjoying this. So, coach, and just to kind of hit on what you just said, I never really see your girls in the media fighting or any doing anything like that. I mean, that kind of speaks to what you've created in the tight ship that you run. Um, how do you prevent it, coach, from going to their head? Yeah, y'all won. I mean, you just rattled off the numbers, which are mind blowing. How do you keep that fire burning? Without letting it even go to your head, coach. I mean, is it just the fact that you can, like you said earlier, you can really focus in? Is it focus? Like what does it get you from reading your own press clippings and staying consistent in dominating, if you will?
Well, I don't let things go to my head. because I was not raised that way. The same people you meet going up, you meet the same people coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I teach my kids to be humble. You don't have to do a lot of talking. You talk with your feet. You stay humble. You want to stay in a position where God is looking favorably on you. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I just want to win. I'm just gonna keep this real right here. The last championship is over. The night that we win a state championship or come in second or third, there's been a time when we've been fifth. The very night when we get the kids to bed, their curfew and all that, we are talking about how to win the next year. And that's a humble experience because nothing is guaranteed. So I always want to win the ones that we're supposed to win. Last year we won one that we were not supposed to win. Um, but we prepared so we would be ready if it was our turn. So the big head thing, I talked to them about that. Um, and the next team that's ready to beat you is right around the corner. And I tell them that you get to thinking you this and that, anything can happen in a split second. So, but knowing that they're good, I don't have a problem with them knowing that they're good. But don't take anything for granted. Nothing is promised to you. You have to work, and we work over here. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. It's up on the walls in our locker room. So that's how we do it. We just none of the coaches are just us. It's us. It's all this. Now we will put our rings up every now and then and laugh and stuff, take pictures and dress it like. Just try to keep it like on a level atmosphere, and just not take anything for granted. Nobody
Let
wants
me.
to be around somebody that's bragging on themselves all the time.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Let me ask you this, cause I got a few more questions, coach. So I hope we're good on time. I don't want to talk your ear off, and you gotta go. I got a few more questions for you though, coach. So, for instance, the stadium is the stadium named after you, coach?
Yes, it is.
Now, and I know I asked that like that on purpose. I didn't even realize that until a little while ago, a couple years back. Like, what what does that mean to you, coach? And I mean, because that's a rarity. I don't know. That's like for you to still be alive and to see that. Um, what does that mean to you, coach? What's the responsibility that comes with that?
Well, you have to have broad shoulders to wear it. And where it came from is the community leaders got together. I think it was after I won 7 state championships in a row, and they wanted to do something for Coach Humphrey, whatever. And they came by and they talked to me and all that, and I kind of blew it off when they left, because I'm happy, we winning these state championships. And so the next thing I know, they're talking to the superintendent, to the board, and all of that. And they put some signatures together. And um, my boss at the time was Dr. Larry Lewis. And he called
Dr.
me,
Lewis, I know Dr. Lewis. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm
yes,
sorry.
over at DeSoto right now. And he called me in and he told me what was going on. And they took it to the board, Beverly D Humphrey Tiger Stadium. That's how it
Coach,
happened.
yeah, that's amazing too, man. Great honor.
And how I
Great honor.
feel, let me just put this in. How I feel being a mother's daughter that was really, 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 really close, the pride in her, it, there's no greater thing. The pride that my mother had and the way she felt about that and being proud of her daughter, uh, that meant the most to me.
That's a good perspective. That's a really good perspective I didn't think about because I'm thinking about it from your perspective of how you feel. But I mean, I didn't think about to your mother how that will make her feel. That's a very interesting perspective. Coach, how involved are you in the sport from a youth perspective? So, you got AAU track, this, that, and the other. Like, how involved are you with this next generation? When I say next generation, I mean, 12, 13, 14, 15, that next crop. Are you involved with the sport outside of just your particular school?
No, I don't do summer track or anything. I'm the chief of athletics over here. Time track is over. It's football season.
Okay.
And so I feel real good about the programs that I supervise, the coaches that I'm over, because not only do I put a lot into my program, I put a lot into everybody's program. And so that is I don't have time. I'm the chief of athletics, public relations, over cheerleaders, over health and wellness, JROTC. I could go on and on.
You got a
And
lot on your plate, coach.
yeah, so that's where I spend my time. And in the summer, I don't believe in, excuse me, I don't believe in going to summer track coaches, trying to put teams together, telling them who to run where. I don't do that because I do not want you doing that when I'm in season. So I'll go to the meets and I'll meet kids. They want to take pictures, I'll do that, you know. But at the same time, I have to have family time too. So
That,
that's how I do it.
let me
And I'm
ask you this, coach.
involved with my junior high.
At this stage of your career, I don't know necessarily how you would frame it, but at this stage of your career, coach, I'm gonna put you on the spot and ask you this: how do you get better? Like how are you growing as a coach and all the different hats that you're wearing? You have the longevity in this thing. How do you keep evolving, coach, to stay sharp?
I go to coaching school. I don't go every year, but a lot of times in the summer, I'm doing speaking engagements as well. But I go to coaching school. My head football coach was Duncanville's head track coach, but his main sport is football. But we
Mhm.
cut it up sometimes. And when I see other people that I respect what they're doing, I chop it up with them. I'll have coaches that come over here, and sometimes they bring their coaching staff, and we just sit in here and talk track and chop it up, get ideas from each other. Um, that's basically what I do. I watch the Olympics, I buy tapes, um, and I just go from there. And some of the stuff I do is instinct, and I trust myself. I trust my instinct. But if there's a better way to do it, I will try it out. And then also bringing new young coaches on the staff. They bring in different drills, different techniques, and all of that. But the main person that I listen to is going to shock some people is uh, I listen to Alan Wilson, who is an ex-head football coach, and Carl Lewis. That is my go-to.
Carl Lewis down there at Houston. Oh
Yeah.
wow, wow. And I gotta ask that question because you don't get to a stature like you are being a dummy. You know what I'm saying? And I know things are always evolving and fast is fast, but things are always evolving. Coach, what do you look for in a younger coach? What do you want them to bring to the table?
Well, you always want to try to keep your program young too.
Okay,
I'm getting
that's a
old,
good point. That's a
you
great
know,
point.
and you want someone that can relate to kids, to students, to student athletes. And so that is the reason, and knowledge of what they're doing. I have a jump coach, Alexis Brannon, graduated from the University of Texas at Austin, great jumper, won some championships, and so she's on my staff now. Well, she brings all of that youth, what's going on now, um, the new jumping schemes and all of that type stuff. I'm updated by that as well. And then I didn't mention my assistant coaches. I have great assistant coaches. I have two coaches on my staff that ran for me, and I love having them on the staff. They go off on scholarships. They come back. They say, "Can we try this or can we try that?" And that's a great learning experience for me as well. But basically, I don't want to sound.
No, you're fine, Coach. You've been sounding good. Yeah, just gonna say it.
Okay, I'm gonna go on and say it. I have a formula for winning.
Yeah, and I mean, nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
So,
Ain't nothing wrong with that, Coach. You got a formula for winning, and I mean, when the proof is in the pudding, then that go to what you say. I'll fit get ready to shut it down, but I kind of want to interject real quick. Coach, what did you learn about your girls in the process of winning? I don't just mean recently. I'm talking about maybe let's go 8-9 years ago. What did you learn about those girls? What does it take to win? You know what I'm saying? And we've talked about what it takes with longevity, but just looking back, let's say a decade ago, what did those girls possess that allowed you guys to do what you did?
it's the Lancaster mystique, baby. Now that's why.
Okay.
Okay. It's the program.
It's the program. Okay.
It's instilled in you. We teach them to have that fight, that Weibo Nation thing. It's throughout all the programs. Way before I came up with Weibo Nation, it was the same thing. The want to be good, the stories I tell them, how we're going to do this. This is how we act. When we get on the track, we're like this. We're ferocious. It's just a constant instilling in them what a champion looks like and what we're trying to do. We want to be champions. So these are the sacrifices you have to make. At the age I am now, I still have my volleyball women that come to my house during Christmas. My track women, the older ones, they come to my house in June. They are still with me. It's a bond. I can't say every single one, but it's a whole lot of them. We still have that bond. Sometimes they'll call and they'll say, Coach, I had my baby. I could hear you be tough, be tough. It's a thing. It's not just using them like people might do. It's creating an atmosphere of love, and this is going to last forever. When you leave here and you go on to college, because we were preaching to you, you got to get a degree. I'm still going to be here through whatever. Yeah. So I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. We're going to wrap it up with a few more questions. We're going to wrap it up. Coach, what's the future? Like, what is the future? And then I want you to give your definition of leadership. So where y'all going in the future, and then give me your definition of leadership, and then we'll wrap it up, and we'll call it a day on this one.
Okay. I want to talk about the definition of leadership first.
Okay.
The best leader is the greatest follower. If you can't follow and learn as you go along, you won't be a great leader. A leader is the person who establishes the formula for what's going to happen. And then you have to teach that to your assistants so that they can truly understand what you're trying to do, and then they will follow you. If you don't give them a plan, an idea, a formula of this is why we do this, this is why we do that, this is why the girls can't do this, this is why. When you do that, they will follow you, and in return, you're a great leader. Because people think you just go out on the track and they just run. There's a formula to that. And all of the coaches on staff have to know the formula. And so, in my opinion, that's what makes a great leader. You're organized, you're established, you teach your young ones, you let them have ideas and try different things. It doesn't always have to be your way. You listen. That's a great leader to me.
And that sounds like a program too. I offered to ask you before I took it out the question, but my another question was, what's the definition of a program? And it's kind of, let's see, hold on. Can you hear me, Coach?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I got a phone call come through. But it's kind of like what you're saying about a leader. That also fits to development of a program too, right, Coach?
Yes, you're exactly right. And we like to say the program, meaning that no one girl or coach or anyone is bigger then the program. And the program has been established. You have handbooks to guide you along the way as to what you're supposed to be doing, what will be tolerated, and what won't. And when you come out on that track, have your mind ready because you are going to train. So all of that encompasses all the things in leadership that we're trying to do in the program. This is how we do it. It's done like this. And so that's the reason people can come back from way 15 years ago and talk about the program. So I hope I answered that.
No, you did. And coach, I gotta say it again. You might not feel comfortable saying it, but talk about how many y'all won again when you said that. It wasn't a brag. You just saying it, but say that one more time. When y'all all these championships and stuff, all that district. I want to hear that again.
Okay, we've won 32 district championships, 30 consecutive. We've won 8 area championships. We've won 17 regional championships, 13 state championships, and 34 state championships in relays.
Oh wow! And I love this, coach. I am so grateful for your time. Let's end with this one, coach. We're gonna end it with this one.
Okay.
Where you want to? Where's the program? I mean, y'all done all this winning, but what's the future of the program? And then we'll end with that one.
Well, we want to stay strong throughout the years. I like to say my time is short. I'll be retiring, a year or two, no more than 3. And so I have people in my program that I am grooming to be the next coach or coaches that keeps Lancaster alive in the sport of track and field. So for me, I feel like I'm on point with the staff that I have, and some come and go because every coach wants to be a head coach, but the formula, they know the formula. So the future for me is to see Lancaster girls track team compete on a high level. I didn't say we had to win every state championship every year, but to compete on a high level. And I think we're going in the right direction with that.
Well, coach, when you hang it up, man, I hope you write a book and just tell your story. You know what I'm saying? Because you accomplished a lot, and that's not an easy task. Coach, thank you for joining me. I'm gonna send your assistant this when we finally upload it, and I'm gonna probably upload some clips in just a second because I think that's some good stuff. So thank you for taking the time out to talk to me for a little bit. Much continued success on your journey, and may God continue to bless you.
And thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye-bye.